Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have John Cousins, entrepreneur, investor, best-selling author of Corporate Finance, ASAP, and over 60 other books, founder of MBA ASAP. Welcome to the show, John.
Oh, thank you, AJ. Pleasure to be here.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, John. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how one can master wealth and productivity. But before that, let's understand a bit more about your journey, your background. It's a very great background. MIT, Boston University, MBA from Wharton. Tell us a bit about your journey, your background, so that the audience knows who they are learning from, listening to.
Oh, thanks very much, AJ. Well, it's funny. My career has been long and varied, and only in retrospect can I kind of connect the dots and see, where I was going. It wasn't a straight line. I started out as an engineer, as a electrical engineer, and I started out working in music, was what I really was very interested in. And I worked for a electronic music synthesizer company, and then in recording studios. And then that's when I went to Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and Boston University. I studied electronics, electrical engineering, and music, and electronic music and media production. From there, I went to work for big rock and roll recording studios in New York City, and then I went to work for an equipment manufacturer and ended up then at one of the networks. And I worked for ABC Television for a decade, designing and creating facilities for the network to produce television shows. And my clients were sports and news, and we did all the big sporting events and news events and things. And my trajectory's been from an engineer. Then I went back to Wharton and got my MBA. And because I wanted to become an entrepreneur, I wanted to work for myself, have my own businesses, invent my own products and services, and deliver them to people and create value. And so that's basically what I did. I went from engineer to entrepreneur in technical fields. I created over a dozen companies. I took two of them public on the stock market, and then became a public company CFO and CEO for about 15 years. And during that time, I started teaching too in universities. My sister was teaching finance, and in the evenings, and I thought, gee, that sounded really like fun and satisfying. So I looked around and got some jobs teaching in different universities and really enjoyed it, but started to realize that, gee, a lot of these textbooks and courses, the textbooks were this thick and 800 pages on finance or strategy or marketing. And I knew from business that I had to move very quickly and only had to gather a certain amount of information and really rely on that fundamental information. So that's what I started to teach to my students. And my classroom became sort of my laboratory. And I could see when the light bulbs went off, when they really understood something that they didn't understand before, and when they started to glaze over when I was talking about something that wasn't interesting to them. And so that way I refined my material. And from that, I started to create books and then online courses with videos and courses that are delivered through email, sequences and things, and try different types of methods to see how people learn and which, different people like to consume knowledge and in different ways, and to deliver that skill set, that skill stacking set of business skills to everyone, no matter what you're doing. These business skills can be very good for you. So that's why I took my entrepreneurial and my educational experience and created those. And that's what I created MBA ASAP, as soon as possible ASAP. And what I do is I deliver affordable, fast business education so people can uh, get it quickly and then start to use it, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely, John. But let me try and first understand who is John Cousins. He's an entrepreneur, investor, educator. Means just think of this training to individuals, 30,000 students in 165 countries and corporations, including big names Adidas, Apple, General Mills. Means so many companies, MBA, as you talked about being an engineer, and you talk to two companies public. You are also a musician, and you also talk about a life of satisfaction. That is why I asked, who is John Cousins? What is it that he wants to bring to the people?
Oh, that's a great question and way to put it, AJ. Well, I think I'm a person who's just very curious. I've been very curious my whole life, and I'm curious about all kinds of subjects. And I think to lead a satisfying life, uh, it's not just about uh, hard charging and getting successful in the world and having a business and creating wealth and money, but also understanding deeper meanings of life through literature and through music and through art. And so I am a musician. I love to play. I'm a jazz piano player, and I love music. I love to listen to it. I love to play it. I read very broadly, literature, and then also lots of books about business and science and just the world in general. I'm basically a nonfiction kind of reader, but I think it really comes from just a love of life, and my engagement with life is expressed through my curiosity, where I just every subject, everything seems to be interesting and fascinating to me.
Absolutely fascinating to you. So, John, if someone says, John, you can talk about satisfaction, you can talk about everything because you got lots of money, you have achieved success in your life, you are an investor, even now you are a general partner at Tetra Kids Global Hedge Fund. So, all those things for a common person, they are still struggling with their security needs. You are talking almost like self actualization. How would you like to tell them about uh, wealth building, about productivity, and also about life satisfaction? I'm asking them all together so that you can answer them at your own pace, though they are different topics, but at the same time they are all very interlinked.
Absolutely, AJ. They're all interlinked, and I can say that I've created my wealth and through my businesses. I think there's certain. I have a book called The Way to Wealth, and where I sort of try to put together my ideas about how do you get wealthy and what is true wealth. And one of the first things is I really believe that you have to get out of debt first of all, and then once you can pay off debt and things, is eh, try to work for yourself. That is where you can create all of the value that you're creating accrues to you and your ventures. Um, if you work for someone else, you're trading your time for money. And when you do that, it's very limited how much money you can make. And especially in this day and age when we can get, just like we're doing now, AJ, we can get on uh, a platform like this, talk, disseminate the content worldwide. There's lots of ways that we can make digital products and services and deliver them to people, and then have a paywall of some sort where payments come through PayPal or Stripe or one of these type of payment services. And so we can actually create businesses, have social media accounts, and create marketing funnels where we trade people's email address for some sort of valuable information, a content, and then send them more content and then convince them to maybe purchase one of our products. All of these things are available to all of us. It doesn't take a lot of resources to basically, you need a internet connection and a computer or a smartphone, and then you can start to actually create a business. That's number one, is to have a business, and then to have investments in the stock market. To be an investor in companies, I think, is really a great way to create wealth. It's amazing to me that we can buy into public companies and invest in them, and then we're the owners. We can become an owner of a company and have great leaders and great companies working for us that's an amazing democratization that we have and access to that type of wealth building. And the third part, I think, is having a business, having investments, and understanding how to invest so you invest smartly in these businesses. And that comes from understanding how to read financial statements like a balance sheet and an income statement and a cash flow statement, and really analyze, is this a healthy business and a strong business with good prospects, or is it not? And make your decisions in a smart way, an educated way. And then the other thing I think is real estate, try to have real estate investments where maybe you have properties, whether they're residential or commercial, that you're actually renting and getting rents from. So you have all of these different income streams from business, from rental properties, and from dividends, or bonds, where you're getting these revenue streams. The other thing, like you said, I'm a founder of a hedge fund, and basically what that is I use computers to analyze stocks and analyze the stream of stock data and look for predictive power in what I can parse out of the information about a company, so I can tell whether a stock is probably going to go up or down, and thinking probabilistically about that, and then taking different positions, investing long in stocks, underlying stocks, and then taking short positions, selling basically derivatives like options, calls, and put options. And that way you can get what's called a conditional dividend revenue stream from those underlying stocks. And that is a very fruitful way to make money in the stock market. So those are I think the ways that, when I think nuts and bolts of how do you create wealth, as far as create money, like you say, to support yourself and to get to that place where you have a level of security and safety, so then you can feel more comfortable about life and the stability of life and the predictiveness of things are going to be good, and then you can take time to enjoy some of the finer things in life, and you should along the way too. But I think that's sort of creating a platform for yourself and for your loved ones, your family, generational wealth, all those kind of things where you can help others as well, is a very satisfying place to be. And it's available to all of us, whatever where our interest is. We can take that interest and create it into a company, or create it into something that of value that people will pay for to get that information or whatever. And so that's why having the business skills to wed with whatever your real interests are, then you can actually use that as a platform to create a business and create money for yourself, and actually live a happy life. I think that's a great way towards a happy life. And nowadays, with the internet and with computers, we can build these products and services for very little money. There's not the gatekeepers that there used to be too, where like we can have, this is like a television show. It's wonderful, a radio show. It used to be very difficult to do that, right? You had to have a radio network or a television network, and you had to be the star that was on there, and you had to have the producers and the people with the money telling you, yes, you can do this, and no, you can't. Now, it's wonderful, AJ, that you've made this wonderful platform where you can disseminate this information to everybody. It's really a great thing. And so, it's what we're doing right now, and what you do is just showing that everyone that this is possible, to have fun and to help people, and any little thing that you might be able to do that can help someone. It could be a little inflection point in their life, and it takes them on a whole new destiny. And that's angel's pay, right? I mean, that's the kind of wealth that is more than just some dollars and things like that. And so that's the real super satisfaction. So you know,
Absolutely,
I love what you're
absolutely.
doing.
John, I totally understand. I love it because I get to meet and talk to people like you, and I could never have dreamed. Nobody can dream or can be in so many places. Even you have reached so many people into different countries through what you have done, rather than visiting everywhere personally or delivering lectures personally. That's the power of technology. That's the power of
Yeah.
knowledge. And you talked about dollars. So let me understand it this way: for a young person who is trying to look at things, maybe a bit confused with life, and the way the whole thing is moving towards in the present as well as towards the future, people are raising questions about currencies. What will happen to the dollar? Should we go to Bitcoin? In case I need to change countries, I can just move from one place to another. Nobody will question me. Bitcoin had more than $100,000, but some people say even that is unsafe. So which is the best wealth in today's time? Should Is it knowledge? Is it dollar? Is it Bitcoin? Is it any other coin? Help us understand, because a lot of people see you gathered knowledge along the way. So should I first gather knowledge and then invest? Should I invest first and then gather knowledge? How does that work in today's time for a common person?
That is a great question, AJ. And yes, I think that knowledge is first. Everything nowadays is a product of mind. We've moved away from sort of natural resource type of economies into knowledge economies. And so gaining knowledge and understanding, I think, is step number one. Because as Warren Buffett, the famous investor, said, the best investment you can make is in yourself and in your knowledge. That's something that no one can take away from you and that you can carry wherever you go. And arguably that can then make you money wherever you go, whatever form that currency is going to take. Um, yeah, I've written a book and have a course on cryptocurrencies and blockchain, and I mean, what an incredible innovation that is. And Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who wrote the white paper, and they don't even know who that person is. It's an anonymous person. The white paper for Bitcoin, basically right after the financial crisis in 2007, 2008, where everybody got more suspect of the fragility of the financial system and the institutions, banking, and and investments and all that, and traditional ones, and decided to make this currency that was based on a cryptography that then would make a ledger, an accounting ledger, and you would know who owned what by all these computers agreeing on that ledger, that blockchain. Absolutely fascinating, and it's made incredible. You couldn't do it without a worldwide web of computers to check that ledger and to confirm it all the time. So it actually had to have the internet in place and really fast computers before you could start mining Bitcoin or considering such a thing. But now we're at that point, and that type of currency. I think about that Bitcoin came from zero to $100,000 of Bitcoin now, and or over, and it's just absolutely remarkable. I mean, that's trillions of dollars of wealth being created by Bitcoin and by Ethereum and by other altcoins. Um, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I really haven't figured out the real killer application, that killer app that cryptocurrencies are going to provide. But there's all these ways that maybe it's going to be Web3 type of things, but who knows where the future is going to go. It's really remarkable. And all these artificial intelligence, AI tools that are coming along. Um, I mean, just remarkable leaps and bounds that we're growing at this exponential rate. And it's really even hard to predict where we'll be in 5 years as far as the power of technology to bring us all together, to give us tools that we can leverage and use. I use lots of AI tools in all the things I do, whether it's content creation or creating videos or disseminating things on the internet, for investing. And like you said, AJ, I think that first, to invest wisely, you really need to have the knowledge. And so that is the first step. And I would say the first step in really understanding the knowledge is, if you have a company and you've run a company and you start thinking about, how do I market this and how do I do the accounting, and so I have to understand financial statements, what's my strategy and things like that. Then you can look at other companies and see from their annual reports what they're doing in those realms, and then you can say whether or not you think that's good, and then you can make your investments and deploy your resources in a way that conforms to your ideas and your knowledge about how companies run. I think that's the best way to invest. And also to invest in things that you actually use, not just what somebody says is the new greatest cool thing, even if you don't really know what the company does. You have to know what the company does and feel comfortable that it's something of value to you. It could be that you really like you use Apple products, so well then maybe invest in Apple, or you like Google and so invest in Google, or whatever it is that you like. You know, it might be Tata. You know, all kinds of wonderful companies that are doing great things. You know, all around the world, and I really think India definitely is one of the really up and coming countries with all this promise. You know, brilliant people. The Indian Institute of Technology, IIT, incredible. Uh, technical educations and all. And so I really think there's so many great prospects and futures for everyone around the world. So it's very exciting time.
Absolutely. And talking of knowledge, you also talk about, you see, about the benefits of being a generalist. So, how does this knowledge, how do I become a generalist and how do I attain? It looks like the world, if as per you, is shifting from the area of specialization to being a generalist. Help us understand. And how do I know then what knowledge takes me towards being a generalist, and not confining me to an expertise which I am not sure of going into the future. It can be, just to a new world altogether. How do I do that? A generalist is one who does not have too much, knowledge about one thing, but about several things.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, yes, there's arguments to be made for both sides, but I'm a generalist, and so the Latin phrase is Johannes factotum, like a jack of all trades, and
Okay.
but they always say jack of all trades, master of none. That it's really good to be a generalist. In the 20th century, I think there was a lot of good reasons to become very, very specialized, and so people would you know, uh, get their PhDs, which is an incredible degree and level of educational attainment. But then you're in a very, very narrow field. Your area of expertise has been driven down to a very small thing, and then small area. And then because we live in such a disruptive age now, that there's all kinds of new inventions and new ways of doing things that disrupt the old ways. If you're too if your knowledge is too specific, it may be leapfrogged by a new innovation, and suddenly all of your knowledge is irrelevant. If you're a PhD in physics, say, and you have a specific quantum mechanics paradigm that you're working under, and all of a sudden a new particle gets discovered and it throws off, and now there's a new paradigm that explains it better than the one that you studied for 35 years or something, then you're in trouble, because all of a sudden, the rug gets pulled out from all that knowledge, and it could be problematic. So like a hedge fund is you're hedging your risks in the stock market. You maybe have a investment in a company like a umbrella company, and then also a suntan lotion company. And so when the sun's shining, the suntan lotion company does great. When it's raining, then the umbrella company does great. And they sort of both hedge each other, hedge the risk. Same thing with being a generalist. If you have uh, knowledge across lots of different realms, then as the world, which is accelerating very quickly in how it changes, as it changes, then you have all this different knowledge to apply in in this new world. And arguably, a lot of creativity, and some people say all of creativity, is based on not an original idea, that we get out of our mind, but taking aspects of different fields and applying them across to another field in a way that is unique. Maybe putting two or three things together that may not have been put together ever before. And that takes a generalist type of way where you have lateral thinking. You're thinking across very different fields and saying, well, this works over here. Maybe it could be applied to here. And boy, if it is, it's an innovation. And so that type of generalist ideas really can be applied in our world that is just so rapidly changing that it's very difficult to predict what will be the knowledge that you're going to need in, say, 15 years from now. That's really, really hard for me to imagine what the world's going to need. But if you're continually and generally learning, and it's not just learning, but it's also then the ability to unlearn and relearn, because a lot of times we learn something and then the world moves on and our paradigm of knowledge suddenly is no longer applicable. Well, then we have to be able to quickly you know, acknowledge that, unlearn those old ways and relearn the new ways. You know, think about anybody that's in computer science or something. That is a constant learning of new algorithms, new, you know, computer languages, you know, coding techniques. Then all of a sudden we have things like Copilot and these different, AI chat GPT models that can actually write the code. So suddenly the guys who are sitting there coding all the time, to some degree, their jobs can become irrelevant if the computers can craft the code faster. So then you have to figure out, well, I have to be working at a higher conceptual level and use those tools to do the lower level work while I'm thinking of what are the applications that this code can be used for and things. So that's, I think, we're a generalist approach to life, and because it's also continual education. It's not just you go to college, boom, you get your degree or something, and then that's it. It's always a constant reevaluation of our core beliefs, making sure that they really serve us, and then learning new things all the time to keep current, keep relevant, and to survive. It's not the strongest or the smartest or the fastest, Darwin said, that survive. It's the most adaptable. And so we have to make a knowledge base for ourselves and a practice of learning that is adaptable.
Right. So, very quickly, John, as a specialist of today, how do I become a generalist of tomorrow, alive and thriving, rather than, getting out of the system altogether tomorrow? Today I might be earning, but tomorrow I may not. How do I transition to that?
Well, there's so much available to us now to learn. I still think that the greatest way to become a generalist, to learn, is through reading. And I think reading and books are a superpower that gets not it gets underrated sometimes. But that is really our path to continual learning, is to read. We should set aside. You know, I was Mark Cuban, who's a billionaire, and he owns the Mavericks basketball team, and he's on Shark Tank and all. He spends 6 hours a day learning. That's what he does. And now again, he's a very wealthy person and can just sit around and read books and think. Same thing with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, he said he read his, you know, habit is 500 pages a day that he reads of all kinds of different books, you know, and all kinds of different sources. So I think that that's really the best way to become a generalist, is to pick topics, any topic that you have any remote curiosity in. Follow that curiosity, because that's an indication of what you're really interested in. And as that then unfolds, as you start to learn that, you're actually in a way revealing yourself to yourself by following your curiosity and developing that. And then suddenly, you know a little bit about all these different subjects, and it can take years, but that's okay. That's what we have the time for a young person. I would encourage them to, get busy, spend a half an hour a day or something, and set it aside just for learning time. Make some tea, make a comfortable spot, make it really enjoyable to yourself, and just pick something that is interesting to you, and then and delve into it and go down those rabbit holes, follow those paths.
Follow those paths. You have achieved so much, but where did you get this time for 61 books, miss bestsellers and other? How did that work? Reading, you advise people to read. Here you are writing so many books yourself, John. How did you work this out? Especially, I'm not obviously, when most of these books must have come without the chat GPTs or any sort of a thing.
Yeah, I've been writing books for about 2 decades now, and there's this saying that if you're underthinking, read. If you're overthinking, write. I have to get it out of my head. And and also that we tend to overestimate what we can achieve in a year, and we tend to underestimate what we can achieve in a decade. So thinking long term like that, has allowed me to just I just continue to write, and then they just start stacking up. I actually have written 63 now. I've published two more lately. One on mental models, and that's having lattice works of systems of understanding, like first principles knowledge, or the Dunning Kruger effect, or thinking probabilistically, and all those things. Ways for our mind to work quickly and have these models, and then a book on focus, which basically is how do you stay on task and not get too confused, or have your efforts diluted by trying to do too much, to stay focused on one thing. Steve Jobs said that focus is basically saying no to 100 other really good ideas to stay on the one idea that you're really going to uh, be committed to. So yeah, I just sit and write, and ever since I learned how to type well when I was young, and it's amazing that typing is still the way that we do it on computers. I learned on a typewriter. I took typing in ninth grade, and learned how to move, and so that has served me really well, because I can type at a speed that I think, and then I can put a lot of words down, and then go back and revise and revise and revise, and with a tool like really what helped me to publish my books was Amazon uh, created a platform called KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing. And you can just upload your manuscript, and your manuscript can be just a Word file, or just a document file, and it has a cover maker. And then you put your book up there, and then it starts selling it. And they'll actually print on demand paperbacks too. So when someone orders one paperback, they print that. It used to be that you'd have to print up maybe 1,000 copies of a book to cover the fixed costs, and then you'd have these books lying around, and you have to, somebody would want one, you put it in an envelope, mail it to them. Now Amazon takes care of all of that, and with the Kindle, they just deliver a digital copy. And now what they do with my books, they have for the Kindle Direct Publishing uh, publishers, the writers, they have a button that says that they if you press that button, it'll make an audible book, an audio book, with a synthesized voice that meets their Audible's standards, and it takes the text that you've made, it has a synthesized voice, and it has like 8 different voices to select from, and then you have an audiobook that gets published too. So these different types of content get published automatically and free of. I mean, there's no working capital that's tied up in these books. I mean, anyone can write their ideas, upload it to Kindle Direct Publishing on Amazon, and start selling books worldwide. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable. And so that really spurred me. That kind of tool spurred me then to write more, because I could reach people and have an audience, and that has been very, very exciting for me. I don't know, if I was just writing on a typewriter and writing in my room, I don't think I would be as motivated as I am, because I know that when I write, there's the possibility of a reader. That's very exciting.
Absolutely, absolutely, John. So much to learn from you. You have achieved so much in life now. What is it that you can just sit back pretty, just look at something, not want to look or something. Why is it that you are so busy? Why can't you just sit back and relax? What is it that you seek for yourself now?
That's a great question. What motivates me? Yeah, and that's a real hard one for me to even think, to understand. What really, is, like I was just saying, it's not a push, it's not a drive within myself to be disciplined and to do things because I really have to do this. It's more that I like I was saying about writing, that there's this prospect of a reader that I can actually feasibly reach. The same thing with my courses and with my Substack newsletter, with my I have an MBA ISAP community where people can get together and talk. And so in those ways, there's a gamification sort of quality to it that, when I wake up, I look and see, oh, wow, this social media post got a lot of likes and interest. And oh boy, I sold, 3 books or 10 books, or, oh, look, I have a new customer for my course. Each one of those things is like a little dopamine rush, like people get from just social media. But each one of those spurs me on to do it more. It's like, oh my, it's like a game. I really treat it. It's more like play. It's more like fun and play than it doesn't feel like work. It feels like just the fun of it. And oh, if people like this, well, I can do more of that. So I'll just start doing more of it. And so it's sort of a pull from an audience, and the prospect of an audience and the prospect of reaching people that really excites me and spurs me on. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I'm talking to you, I'm just thinking about that. Why do people want to retire at 30 when being a bit busy can be so much fun and so much lively?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I can't, I don't really, yeah, I don't aspire to go get a fishing pole and just sit and fish all day or something. I don't want to retire. It's too much fun. It's just too much fun, like you said.
Absolutely. There's so much to learn from you about wealth, about productivity, about life, about so many things in life.
Thank you,
So, for
AJ.
all those people who would want to learn a lot more from you, about from your books, what's the best way for them to connect with you, John?
Oh, thanks, AJ. Well, probably the best way is through my website, www.mba-asap.com. And that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. But you can also Google my name, and I come up. I'm on all the social networks. But on my website, then you can go and get on my email list, and then contact me via email and things. And I answer all my emails. I love to hear from people, and that's a good way into my sort of community and work.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thanks so much, AJ. A pleasure. Absolute pleasure.